Let me just start off by saying that if you're one of these people that likes to go around and drift on like normal streets, just stop, okay? You're not a main character in a movie or a show. You're just a normie like the rest of us. You've clearly watched too many movies and you probably still live with your parents, okay? Just stop it. Let's just get safely to our houses. Anyways, all jokes aside, in today's video, I wanted to talk about this new Big Bad Toy Store email that we got not too long ago. I would like to say a few days ago as of the moment of this recording. And essentially, they're clarifying the whole tariff situation when it comes down to pre-orders. It is, very important to point out that nobody knows exactly what the tariffs are going to be once these figures are actually being, shipped through the docks. We just don't know what is the actual percentage of these figures, and then what's the cutoff date. They just don't know. If you go on Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth, they both have little disclaimers underneath the price tag letting you know that there is a potential for a little bit of an increase when it comes down to the price because of the whole tariff situation, the tariff surcharge as they're referring to it as. Now, the email essentially clarifies that anything that is coming from Hasbro that you pre-ordered prior to the date of May 9th, then that will not include a surcharge. That will not be included with the bundle of figures that could potentially receive like an extra fee due to the tariff. So again, just to clarify, anybody that pre-ordered anything from Hasbro only, we don't know about the other manufacturers, but if you did pre-order prior to May 9th, all of that will be the exact same price point that, the ad said it would be. So there won't be any added fees, there won't be any tariff charges or anything like that. Anything past May 9th, which again is really interesting and kind of comical, could be potentially, maybe, we don't know, it could be subject to some of these tariff surcharges. And what's interesting is they don't even know what the exact amount is. They'll just give you a little disclaimer saying that it will be or it could be subject to the surcharge, but they just don't know. They don't know. All they're letting you know is that the actual price that is, posted on there is just kind of like a guideline. There could be a minor little price increase once it actually ships out to you. So personally, I don't feel very comfortable pre-ordering something and then not knowing the exact amount that is going to be discounted from my bank account. So I've honestly just stayed away from pre-ordering anything through Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store. I do have a couple of pre-orders through Amazon, but if I'm not mistaken, their price points are actually locked in. Like they have a pre-order price guarantee, meaning even if there is anything crazy happening with the whole tariff situation, it doesn't matter. I think there is a slight possibility that they could cancel your order and they just decide to not ship any of these figures. If like the profit margins are too razor thin, they probably are not interested in shipping any of these collectibles. But it raises another question. I mean, how is it that Hasbro is able to give you those collectibles without the tariff surcharge? Is there something shady going on behind the scenes? There is a slight possibility, and I do have two theories here. The number one being that maybe certain merchandise or, certain companies are exempt from this tariff rule, or they're finding a way maybe to bypass this bill. Maybe they're shipping it, I don't know, through Mexico or Canada, or they're finding different ulterior ways of shipping these items without having to pay the full amount of the tariffs. The other possibility, and this is the one that I lean towards the most, is that Hasbro and these, retailers are actually taking a hit on some of these collectibles. I said this before in a prior video, but I think it's way more important to them just to be able to survive through this entire time frame. It's not so much about profit. It's not so much about expanding the business. I think their ultimate objective is just to try to survive or just try to get by during this time period where the tariffs could hit some new all-time highs. And that's what I think is happening. And by the way, I've seen so many different comments, and I was just looking at one like a couple of days ago where people were trying to, spin it and make it seem like Hasbro was the one taking advantage of their consumer base, even though the price hikes are across the board. Like Hasbro, yes, has done some price hikes, but everybody else has followed suit. Even McFarlane, as long as he was able to hold out, decided to spike up his collector's edition line. And there have been some other quote-unquote exclusives that go for as high, a regular DC Multiverse figure going for as high as $30. So everybody's done it a little bit here and there. We even saw Jaded Toys, who's considered to be like one of the best OMs right now, not only spiked some of their Street Fighter action figures, which the original retail price point for those was supposed to be $24.99 unless you bought it from like some of these other smaller online retailers, but those have spiked up to about $30 at the moment of this recording, meaning The price increase is about $5 depending on where you're picking it up, but the list goes on and on. The new Scooby-Doo line is also going to be a $30 price point. I know a lot of people have pointed out that it's going to be a little bit harder to reuse some of those body molds, but still, it's a new price increase. NECA went from their starting price point of $34.99 and have now raised their price point all the way up to $37.99. So look, if your personal perspective, if your opinion is that these manufacturers are really taking advantage of you, I mean, be welcome to it, but I think those are just not facts. Everything has gone up. I remember being able to buy, tires from overseas for like $50-$60 for my tiny little Mustang, and now they're going for $80-$90. It's a mixture of a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, it's just what happens, right? I mean, everybody reminisces about how they were able to buy something 20 years ago, and now that particular item is 2 to 3 times more expensive. I mean, it's just the lay of the land. It's the way that things go. And so for people to try to pretend like it's Hasbro or McFarlane or any of these, smaller manufacturers, and obviously Hasbro and Mattel and McFarlane are up there, but there are other smaller ones that have also gone through this whole price increase situation right before the tariffs. I don't think that they have anything to do with each other. And look, if it was just one manufacturer or a couple of different manufacturers doing the price increase, that would be one thing. You could definitely point to corporate greed, but when everybody is doing it across the board and everybody is pointing to the raise the raise in cost for raw products, whether that's the gas that they use to transport these items or the plastic itself, so on and so forth. I think it's important to note all of these things before just going out there and saying buffoonery like, oh, this is just Hasbro being greedy. This is Hasbro actually taking a little bit of a hit. We don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's Hasbro taking 100% of the tariffs on their shoulders, but that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, to say anything prior to May 9th, I don't think any of those items are here in the States. Everything, let's say if you did pre-order something on May, you don't expect it next month or in the next couple of months. Usually it's like, hey, pre-order something in May from Hasbro, and then you're going to get it sometime in like August or September. That's like a 2 to 3 month delay, meaning those figures are definitely not here. Okay, they're probably already in post-production. Maybe they're already being packaged or something along those lines. So I don't feel like any of these are already in the States, because then that would mean that they would just be attaching the tariff surcharge to any merchandise that they're selling. But that's not what it looks like to me, at least on the surface. It appears that anything prior to that, they're just going to take a hit on. They're going to probably, I don't think they're going to lose any money, but their profits are not going to be as high. But I think ultimately that's to keep everything in place, right? Let's say theoretically, if Hasbro allows for like Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store to go out of business, or even GameStop, that could be a huge hit. That's one of their biggest consumers out there, and it's something that they don't have to deal with, right? Like, I don't think Hasbro and all these other OMs want to deal with the situation of having to distribute the figures themselves. I've often said the same thing about McFarlane and so many different manufacturers. That's why you see a ton of eBay sellers having like dozens and dozens of these figures, sometimes 50, 60 or 20 of these available, because they're just going to sell in bulk as much as they possibly can. They don't care where it goes. If you've got the money and you're going to buy pallets worth of these figures, if you're Walmart, if you're Entertainment Earth, if you're Big Bad Toy Store, and you come with a few $1,000 ready to purchase an entire wave of something, they're going to sell it to you. That's the name of the game. And so I do feel like there is something behind the scenes happening where potentially they're kind of splitting the whole tariff surcharge. Number one, just to keep them afloat, just to keep them in line. You want Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store to stick around because you don't want to handle the nightmare that is distributing these collectibles one at a time. And then secondly, it's to keep the fan base around. It's to keep the consumers, it's to keep the community there, because the moment that these people stop buying, there is a huge possibility that a lot of them just move on to different hobbies, or they just stop collecting altogether. I don't think that's across the board, but I think there will be a decent percentage, even if it's like 5% of all collectors decide to stop collecting because of tariffs. Like, that's a pretty big hit on a consumer base that's already incredibly small and doesn't have like a really big profit margin. So again, just wanted to share my personal thoughts with you guys. I know it's kind of just one email, but then my mind just kind of started working, connecting the dots, and I just wanted to share my personal opinion. I do believe that Hasbro and these manufacturers or retailers, sorry, are actually kind of sharing this surcharge when it comes down to these whole tariffs. What's interesting going forward is if any of these other manufacturers are going to do similar, or if they're going to do the same thing where they're just going to kind of take a little bit of a hit on their profits, or if they're just going to pass on the entire tariffs onto their consumer base. Only time will tell. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you pre-order anything before May 9th, or did you miss that pre-order date cutoff? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. As always, make sure to enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.